Tonight, breaking news from Southern California. More than 9 million people on alert for dangerous fire weather conditions. More evacuations as the flames reach new neighborhoods. Questions about the lack of resources to battle the fires and why so many homeowners lost their insurance. First, the devastating images just coming in. The Palisades fire engulfing even more homes. A fire NATO spinning out of control, spreading the flames. And the new evacuations, including part of the exclusive Los Angeles suburb of Brentwood. Firefighters dumping water and retardant, hoping to make as much progress as they can before the strong winds return tonight. A red flag warning now in effect through Wednesday. More than 12,000 structures already destroyed, the death toll rising and expected to go higher. A dusk to dawn curfew in effect amid growing concerns about looting. The ATF now taking the lead on the cause of the Palisades fire as investigators search for answers. While firefighters battle the flames, new questions about the city's readiness. The governor calling for an investigation. What caused fire crews to run low on water? The next steps for thousands that lost everything, navigating the complicated process of filing claims. And what about those who've recently lost their insurance as authorities warn about price gouging during the emergency? We have team coverage from the fire zone. In other news tonight, Special Counsel Jack Smith resigns days after submitting his final report. New video from the deadly New Year's terror attack in New Orleans. Officers in a shootout with the suspect on Bourbon Street. A major setback in the investigation of that deadly plane crash that killed 179 people in South Korea. The crucial data missing from both black boxes. The NFL hopeful wanted in connection to a deadly hit and run, what police are now saying. And America Strong tonight, the heroes of the California front lines, how communities are showing their pride and their gratitude.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us on this Saturday. I'm Whit Johnson. As we come on the air tonight, there's a new threat from those devastating and deadly wildfires. About 9 million people across much of Los Angeles and Ventura counties under a new red flag warning and on alert for more dangerous fire weather conditions. The emergency is not over. This fire NATO captured on camera in the Pacific Palisades. Evacuations expanding tonight. Thousands of homes and businesses destroyed. At least 11 people killed. Governor Gavin Newsom doubling the number of National Guard to more than 1,600 to help battle the flames. The ground and air assault continue as the fires are now threatening a growing list of neighborhoods, including the exclusive Los Angeles suburb of Brentwood. And the finger pointing and controversy tonight over what, if anything, could have been done to prevent the wildfires from causing so much death and destruction. We have team coverage tonight in the fire zone. ABC's Matt Rivers leads us off from Brentwood.
Tonight, with fires still raging in Los Angeles, evacuations are expanding. The Brentwood and Encino neighborhoods under threat as residents make their way out of the area.
It's very difficult, but we're alive. We're alive.
Fire retardant drops starting.
In the skies above the wildfires, firefighting aircraft diving again and again, dropping flame-retardant chemicals and water to stem the fire threat. Those Santa Ana winds temporarily subsiding today, giving them and the thousands of crew battling the flames on the ground a fighting chance.
We were sitting here, they probably did 50 drops between this whole line here. So,
and that's the difference between the first days of these fires, where the winds were so high you didn't have that kind of air support that you would normally.
Yeah, and then the amount of resources here as well.
But even as first responders are making gains, the Palisades fire, starting on day one of all this, now expanding in other directions. Some homes here already burning. Those active flames we've been watching since the first day of this fire, now here in Brentwood.
So you can see with these wind gusts, those flames trying to force their way up from the bottom of the canyon. And as they do so, they're getting closer and closer to this house here. This is somebody's patio that we're on. And you can see the firefighters doing their best to make sure the flames don't get this high. Without these firefighters here right now, the house here, other houses in this neighborhood, almost certainly gone.
Residents here have largely gone, others trying to bring desperately needed supplies to first responders in the area. Traffic on some roads there backed up for nearly 2 hours. The Eaton fire today now at 15% containment, the Palisades fire at 11%. Over 12,000 structures have been destroyed in total. Fire officials warning those strong winds that helped create the most destructive fire event in California's history are expected to ramp back up once again tonight and into next week. Overnight, this flare-up overwhelming a crew on the ground. Firefighters on the front lines forced to retreat from the flames, leaving these vehicles behind. That flare-up spawning this fire-nado. And this harrowing video from earlier this week, a reminder of the hellish conditions endured by ground crews. This man, Alec Gellis, doing everything he could, fighting to save his girlfriend's house from the oncoming flames, eventually forced to leave, unable to save her home.
It's being eaten up by all of that valuable fire retardant. Without that fire retardant, we would be in big trouble.
Firefighters here, though, making progress on getting these fires under control. 11 deaths have been confirmed, 8 from the Eaton fire and 3 from Palisades. And tonight, at least 13 people are missing. ABC News Today learning the identity of 2 of the victims of the Eaton fire. A father and son, Anthony and Justin Mitchell of Altadena. Both were in wheelchairs and awaiting evacuation. His daughter remembering him as, quote, a great dad that any little girl could want. Tonight, the full scope of the loss of life still unclear. Law enforcement also facing challenges, arresting 27 people in total, saying some violated a curfew implemented last night. Others taken into custody on suspicion of looting. Officials also warning business owners from taking part in price gouging.
People who have been victimized, being victimized again in contravention and in violation of the law against price gouging in California in the time of a natural disaster in a state of emergency. It's wrong.
Today, California Governor Gavin Newsom doubling the amount of National Guard deployed in Los Angeles. Law enforcement today says they are now able to begin rescue and recovery efforts, using grid searches and cadaver dogs to try and locate the missing.
We hope to find everybody safe. We want to bring closure to the family.
Today, the city announcing that the ATF would lead a task force to investigate the cause of the Palisades fire. Pressed about what could have started the Eaton fire, officials say the investigation is fluid.
We are not going to leave any rock unturned if this is a criminal act.
Still so many questions about what caused these fires. Matt Rivers joining us now from Brentwood. And Matt, how long have some of these firefighters been out there, and what are they most worried about in the coming days?
Yeah, Whit, there's really not much rest to be had out here. I had a conversation with a firefighter earlier today who told me he's been out here for 2 straight days. But I think every firefighter you talk to a man, to a woman back there fighting these fires, they'll say this is what they do, this is what they train for, they wouldn't be anywhere else. But their jobs will get harder over the next few days. Almost assuredly, these winds that are picking up in speed as we speak, only going to get worse. Whit.
Matt Rivers for us, thank you. And as those fires rip through Southern California, new concerns tonight about the city's response and readiness. The monster flames quickly wiping out communities and historic landmarks, fire hydrants running dry, and a massive reservoir taken offline for repairs weeks earlier. The governor calling for an investigation. ABC's Jaclyn Lee reports from Altadena.
Tonight, as firefighters race to get the upper hand, new questions about the city's readiness for potential wildfires in Los Angeles. Marcela Banuelos of Altadena couldn't believe it when the water turned off as she defended her grandma's home with a garden hose.
I jumped on the roof and we were spraying the water. There was no water pressure. There was nothing.
Her own home nearby, gone in the blaze.
It was like straight flames and just black smoke and dust. And it was just really sad because, like, I'm only 24. I was about to make 2 years that I moved out my parents, and I took a lot of pride in that, and I was very happy there.
Fire Captain Jeff Brown telling ABC News' Matt Gutman as buildings burned in Pacific Palisades, leaking sprinkler systems depleted much needed water for firefighters.
As all these homes actually do burn down, and a lot of them have their own fire sprinkler systems, that those sprinkler systems become compromised as the house burns down and the water will free flow. And as we see our gauges go down lower and lower, we knew we were getting low on water.
And a nearby 117 million gallon reservoir taken offline for repairs before the fires broke out. But as the fires spread, firefighters battling flames over 100 feet tall. Much of the Palisades destroyed within a matter of hours.
If you'd had all the resources and all the water, would it have made a difference here?
I've been on the job for 36 years, and I've never seen weather like that. It was a hurricane force wind with fire involved. It was indescribable.
California Governor Newsom demanding an independent investigation, calling the reported issues deeply troubling. The LA fire chief claiming her department faced recent budget cuts, including $17.6 million cut for the year, and saying in an interview with KTTV Fox 11 Los Angeles, the city failed her department.
And when they're not getting what they need to do their jobs, it's enough. And that's why I'm here.
But today, the chief and LA Mayor Karen Bass striking a different tone.
The fire chief and I are focused on fighting these fires and saving lives. And any differences that we might have will be worked out in private.
Mayor Bass, Chief McDonald, and I are in lockstep together, and that we will utilize every single resource at our disposal.
WIT officials have launched an investigation into those emergency alerts that incorrectly notified nearly 10 million LA County residents to be ready to evacuate. Officials saying it was not human error, but acknowledging it was a serious breach of public trust. They have taken steps to prevent it from happening again. WIT.
Yet another thing causing frustration. Jaclyn Lee, thank you. And these wildfires could be one of the most expensive natural disasters in U.S. history. The state facing an insurance crisis that has already left thousands of Californians struggling to find and keep affordable homeowners insurance. ABC's Christiane Cordero in Pacific Palisades.
Tonight, many homeowners affected by the devastating wildfires in Los Angeles taking their first step toward rebuilding their lives, filing an insurance claim.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
But as too many Americans know, getting compensated can be difficult. And in California, the system is facing a crisis years in the making. Insurance premiums soared after the Camp Fire in Northern California's Butte County in 2018. At the time, the deadliest and most destructive wildfire in the state's history. Several major carriers have since restricted fire coverage or stopped writing new property insurance policies in California entirely. State Farm, California's largest provider of homeowners insurance, announcing in 2023 it would stop accepting new applications from California residents, citing, among other things, rapidly growing catastrophe exposure. With insurers pulling back, thousands of California homeowners have been left without coverage.
These insurance people decided to cancel their fire. And we're going through this, and it just happened, and they have no fire insurance.
The California Insurance Commissioner issuing a one-year moratorium to protect homeowners.
I'm also calling on insurance companies to suspend any pending non-renewals and cancellations that homeowners received before these fires started.
This problem isn't unique to California. An investigation by the Senate Budget Committee finding that climate change-driven extreme weather events are leading to increasing non-renewal rates and spiking premiums across the country, particularly in Florida, Louisiana, and North Carolina. The report suggesting the insurance crisis could lead to a housing one, with echoes of 2008. Saying this is predicted to cascade into plunging property values in communities where insurance becomes impossible to find or prohibitively expensive. Climate change is no longer just an environmental problem, it's a looming economic threat.
WIT, a spokesperson for California's FAIR Plan, the state's private stopgap fire insurance program, says they are aware of misinformation spreading online about their ability to pay claims. But they want to reassure homeowners that they have prepared for disasters like this and intend to keep their commitments. WIT.
Christiane Cordero, thank you. Let's bring in ABC News meteorologist Somara Theodore. Samara, another round of those dangerous winds on the way.
That's right, with these winds continuing to fan the flames, but they're also moving the smoke. Very heavy smoke expected in places like Santa Monica this evening, and even as far south as Redondo Beach and Long Beach, and this smoke could get worse. The National Weather Service has now issued a red flag warning through Wednesday. Winds could gust as high as 50 miles per hour, and some foothills of the mountains, they could reach 75 miles per hour. We're also anticipating winds to peak on Tuesday. Santa Clarita could see winds as high as 51 miles per hour. Not quite as strong as last week when they hit 100 miles per hour. It was then that the National Weather Service actually issued a PDS warning that verified a particularly dangerous situation. This is something that's very rare for them to issue, usually every 5 to 10 year weather events, but they issued 3 in the last 3 months. And as we see a changing climate, we're also going to continue to experience more extreme weather.
Yeah, and those new alerts, not what the firefighters need in those communities right now. Samara, thank you. And tune into This Week tomorrow morning. Jonathan Karl has the very latest on the LA wildfires with FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell and California Senator Adam Schiff. We do have other breaking news to report tonight about Special Counsel Jack Smith. The Department of Justice announcing his resignation in a court filing today. He was expected to resign before President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House. Smith investigated Trump for allegations of interference with the 2020 election and handling of classified documents. Now to that newly released body camera video of the deadly shootout with the New Orleans terror suspect. The video shows the dramatic gunfire exchange on New Year's Day. Shamsuddin Jabbar died at the scene after ramming his pickup truck into a crowd of revelers on Bourbon Street. And tonight, the injured police officers are now out of the hospital. Here's ABC's Morgan Norwood.
2 police officers involved in the shootout with the man behind the deadly New Year's Day terror attack in New Orleans, now home from the hospital tonight. Their recovery comes as New Orleans police released an edited, dramatic body camera video showing 42-year-old suspect Shamsuddin Jabbar immediately opening fire on officers just moments after he plowed through a crowd on Bourbon Street, killing 14 and injuring dozens. In the nearly 12-second clip of the encounter, officers ordered Jabbar to surrender before a barrage of gunshots erupt. One slow-motion clip shows the suspect's hand and the deployed airbag. Inside that white pickup truck, flammable liquid seen here in photos first obtained by ABC News. Officials fearing Jabbar's deadly rampage could have been worse had he been able to detonate those homemade explosive devices found nearby.
Officers are trained for shoot scenarios like that. They are highly trained. And that's what you saw. These are split-second decisions.
The Louisiana Attorney General announcing a full investigation into any operational security failures that day. And as the city looks for answers tonight, the heartbreak lingers. Family and friends remembering 18-year-old Nakira Dido, the youngest of the lives lost in that New Year's Day tragedy, which she was laid to rest today.
All right, Morgan Norwood for us. Thank you. There's still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Saturday. The investigation into that deadly plane crash in South Korea. The critical evidence investigators now say is missing from the black boxes. Next tonight, what could be a major setback for the investigation into the deadly crash that killed 179 people in South Korea. Authorities say both black boxes stopped working 4 minutes before the 737 crash. The black boxes are considered crucial to a crash investigation. An arrest warrant issued for one of the top wide receiver prospects in this year's NFL draft. Louisiana police say Kyron Lacey, who played for LSU, left the scene of a fatal car crash last month in which a passenger died. When we come back tonight, remembering a legendary singer from the 60s and 70s. To the index now, and a passing to note, singer Sam Moore has died. Half of the 1960s duo Sam and Dave, best known for hits like Soul Man and Hold On, I'm Coming. He later had a solo career. Sam Moore was 89. Still ahead, honoring the heroes on the fire lines. Finally tonight, the men and women on the fire lines.
All week long, we've seen the images. Firefighters battling historic infernos, hosing down houses, businesses, and schools, desperate to save what they can in communities across the LA area. Despite the exhaustion and frustration, their courage and fortitude shine through the darkness, as well as simple acts of kindness. Tonight, a grateful community embracing these brave first responders. The LA Kings hockey team taking to the ice in uniforms with the CAL FIRE logo. This LA coffee house preparing lattes and snacks for the crews, delivering them to firehouses.
Yes. Thank you. Because of you guys.
Hotels putting up scores of firefighters. These trucks parked outside an upscale Santa Monica hotel where they can get a much-needed break.
The one thing that they really wanted the most was to definitely have a shower.
The hotel's manager evacuated from her own home, but still taking the time to help, her heart full of gratitude.
If there's anything that I could say to them, it's just the ultimate thank you. They bravely run towards the fire as opposed to running away from it. And I hope they know how treasured every first responder is.
Treasured indeed. Thanks so much for watching tonight. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir America's most watched newscast.